David Barton had friends out at the Nevada ranch this last weekend. And I talked to somebody else this morning who said that he had a family member out there, and his family member was actually afraid for the first time in his life. He said he really thought that thing was going to just boil over and there was going to be shots fired. And David said the people at the gate were confronting the BLM, and they were not there with the Bundys. In fact, they were doing the opposite of what the Bundys asked for. This is what we've been saying, that somebody has got to, we've got to say, those people are not with me. And I warn you, there are people that are part of the, quote, patriot movement that do not have the same intentions that you have. They don't have the same attitude, the same style. They don't have the same end game. They want revolution. They want an armed confrontation. I don't think those are the Bundys. I don't think those are a lot of the people that were there. The guys that were on the horseback, they all seemed totally cool. It was the people at the gates that I've had a hard time with. It's that sheriff, that retired sheriff that was saying, we put people, we specifically, we war gamed it. We put women and children in front. So if there was somebody that was going to be killed, it would be the women that would be killed, and that would be on TV. What? That's one of the most insane things I've ever heard. What honorable person does that? I mean, that's human shield stuff. Haven't we always said we're not into human shields? So anyway, David said they were doing the opposite of what the Bundys asked for. They asked for people to give the BLM space they needed to leave and asked people to remain calm and peaceful. At one point, when the agitators were yelling at the BLM and saying virulent things, Cliven's daughter-in-law began crying, saying, "They're going to ruin this," end quote. There were a number of militia that he saw that was hopeful that there would be a violent incident, that it would take place, but they were removed from the Bundy family by the Bundy family and associates.
Why would you be hopeful that something violent would erupt? What are you trying to accomplish
because they really think, just like the people in Egypt, they think, oh, well, this will start a revolution, and then we'll have a glorious revolution, and we'll get our country back.
How do you think that works out well? I don't get that.
No idea.
How do you think that works?
Your Egypt analogy, as evidenced by their hashtag American Spring.
Yeah.
That's what they've been calling this.
Yeah.
This is crazy. This is crazy.
It's nuts.
These are Occupy Wall Street people. It's the same attitude. If you're really using hashtag American Spring, who's using that? The Bundys aren't using that, are they?
I don't think so. Is that who you've seen it from, Stu? Who have you seen using?
No, not the Bundys. No, the horrible people that are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
American Spring. You don't want the American Spring. It doesn't work out well.
It didn't work out well for the Arab Spring.
Jeez, for the love of
why the hell would you want
that?
that?
Okay, so there's a lot of people, and they think that if you don't want to have an American Spring, I mean, geez, think of the chalkboard. Think of the chalkboard. These people say that they're shocked by me. I can't believe Glenn Beck is. What did you read the stupid chalkboard that said it would start over in Tunisia, it would spread through the Middle East, it would then go to Europe, and then it would spread around the rest of the world. Eventually, it would come here, and it was to destabilize the United States of America. You don't want to destabilize the United States of America. We haven't had that since the Civil War. You don't want that. And if you think the Civil War was fun, geez, what is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? I mean, when I saw this morning, I got my morning briefing, and I saw David's report that, he had friends out there, and he said that that there were people out there and that they were singing hymns and they were doing all the things that I think, a David Barton group would do and staying away. This guy I talked to today said he was up behind the snipers, and he said he's got pictures of them, and he said here they are, and they've got either tear gas or some sort of rubber bullet gun. He said, and behind them were real snipers trained on the heads of people. How do you think, and they were surrounding the ranchers. How do you think that's going to work? How do you think that's going to work? What happens is those snipers begin to fire, and then they kill all the protesters. And then you get your glorious revolution? Is that what you want? Is that what you want? I mean, I'm so stunned at some people. And here's what's happening. We've had the luxury of being one fairly decent movement. We have been together and we have gathered together. And there have been those who believe the things that I do, values and principles and God. And then there are those others that have wanted revolution for a long time. And they've kind of come together and they've been lumped together because everybody's been peaceful. Well, now push comes to shove, and you're going to start separating the good from the bad. You're going to have the Martin Luther King and the Malcolm X movement. You're going to have both of them. And so you have to decide which one of those are you. Are you the Malcolm X and the Malcolm X side, or are you the Martin Luther King side? I'm on the Martin Luther King side, because that's the winning side. Malcolm X, just think about this. The people that you're dealing with, is there any doubt? I mean, I hate to be cryptic, but I'm not going to give these guys any more press. But the guys that are really behind a lot of this really bad stuff, Stu, any doubt in your mind if there was a glorious revolution, they would set up some kangaroo court and they would try people like you and me and Pat and Jeffy, and we would be tried for being betraying the revolution?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a doubt that there'd be a trial. I think they might just skip right past that.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah. I mean, these are people who are very dangerous. We've had run-ins with them before. They're very dangerous, and they're wildly entangled and involved in this. I don't think the Bundys know. I really don't. I don't think they have any clue of some of the people that are there. Most of the people that are there are good. I mean, we've talked to several of them on the phone. They're good people. They don't want a violent confrontation. They just want to stand. And there is a difference. Martin Luther King stood. Do you think Martin Luther King was a coward? Because Hutch did. Remember Pastor Hutcherson? He thought he was a coward. He said, look at what Martin Luther King is doing. He is telling us to sit down and shut up. And he watched the freedom buses. He was there. And he saw people pulled out of the freedom buses and beat by white people. Now, I don't know if you know this, but we haven't been beaten by people yet. I mean, we're at the beginning of this. If you really think that we have it as bad as the African American had it in the 1950s and early 60s in the South, you're crazy. You are legitimately crazy. And so what happened was Martin Luther King came out and said, you know what? We need peace. That's what we need. We need peace because no other movement will work. Jesus and Gandhi were right. And so Pastor Hutcherson, he stood up as a kid, and he saw that, and he hated Martin Luther King until he was 18 years old. And then he realized, holy cow, he is right. And it changed his life. Malcolm X even understood in the end. He was wrong. Malcolm X was like, oh, wait a minute. I've been wrong. And what happened to him? The Nation of Islam, that was his group, the Nation of Islam went out and killed him because he betrayed the cause. I mean, you could listen to Louis Farrakhan's own words. He said, we made him, and so he betrayed the cause. That's the way that side always ends. If you look at Bill Ayers and the communist movement of the 1960s, they approached the Beatles. And I want you to do this. I want you to go to iTunes. I just want you to download this song. You probably haven't heard it in a long time. We can't play it on the air because of unbelievable legal restrictions now. I don't even know how you even do business in this country anymore. When a radio station can't play songs because of all the legal and ramifications. It's craziness. Anyway, I want you to go down and download it on iTunes. Download Revolution. Do you have the lyrics? Mm-hmm. Okay, download this song and listen to it. Once you understand the lyrics of this song and you understand where it came from, The Paris riots and everything else, the communes, they were all happening at the same time here in the late 60s, all around the world. Paris was on fire, and communism was on the move. Very similar to what's happening now. And they went to the Beatles and they said, look, guys, you can seal the deal. If we can just get you on our side, you will seal the deal. And remember, I really think John Lennon was a communist for a while. He wasn't. By the end of the 60s, he wasn't. And if you listen to the words of Revolution, he said, I'll think about it. And he went up to the mountain and he thought about it. And he wrote his response to the left. And his response was revolution.
You say you want a revolution. Well, we all want to change the world. You tell me that it's evolution. Well, we all want to change the world. But when you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out? Don't you know it's going to be all right? You say you got a real solution? Well, we don't love to see the plan.
We'd all love
to see the plan. I think they got that wrong.
And it is. We'd all love to see the plan. Here's the thing. These guys who say they want a revolution, what happens? What do you replace this with? What do you do? We're going to restore the Constitution. No, you're not. How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? Who's in charge in the interim? I mean, think this through. Who's in charge in the interim?
Then he says, you asked me for a contribution? Well, we're all doing what we can. But if you want money for people with minds that hate, all I can tell you, brother, is you're going to have to wait. And then don't you know it's going to be all right? You say you'll change the Constitution? Well, we all want to change your head. You tell me it's the institution. Well, you better free your mind instead. But if you go carrying your pictures of Chairman Mao, you ain't going to make it with anyone anyhow.
Listen to that. That's John Lennon.
Yeah.
That's John Lennon. And the choice he was presented with is we can go with Chairman Mao, we can go communism, because this institution is all wrong. Let's change the Constitution, and let's go violence. Let's tear it apart. And you're the guy who can do it. And that's how he responded. And nobody ever pays attention to the lyrics of that song. And I am telling you, if it's not now, it will be shortly. But I'm feeling as this has begun now. I don't know how long it takes to get here, but this has begun. And you need to choose sides. And that doesn't mean it's like the Ron Paul people. Not all the Ron Paul people, just a few that joined Occupy Wall Street. Even some of the Tea Party people that were not, just some of the Tea Party people, they got lost with Occupy Wall Street. Because they saw that Occupy Wall Street was saying, hey, we're against the bailouts, we're against the government spying, we're against all of these things. Yeah, so am I. But what else are they for? It matters who you stand with. It matters who you stand with. And it matters what their tactics are. I mean, the problem with the left was they never distanced themselves from the Occupy Wall Street movement. I'm not going to distance myself from the ranchers. I'm not going to distance myself from the cause, but I am going to distance myself from anybody who is putting a finger in the chest of the law enforcement. Do you think the law enforcement guys wanted to be there? Do you think they want to make that choice? No. They have kids. They have families.
They're Americans.
And do you think they want to be in that? Now, let me ask you this. Which is the better way to make sure that they don't shoot people? By poking your finger in their chest and calling them pig, calling them imperialist pigs, all of that stuff, and treating them like garbage? Or saying, brother, you and I are exactly the same. I love you. No matter what happens, I love you. We are peaceful. We are not going to be moved. You're going to have to arrest us. We're not going to be moved. We're peaceful, but we love you. Don't do this. Please don't do this. Which one of those are going to get the guys to shoot you in the head? If you ramp them up to get them to hate you, and somebody's like, shoot, they'll think, because it's the easy thing to do, they'll think, you know what, these guys are out of control, man. I don't relate to them at all. Why did Occupy Wall Street lose? Because people couldn't relate to them. We got to be people that the other side can relate to. We got to be people that say, look, man, you know it's out of control. Come on. This is with America. You got snipers. These are guys for cows. You're going to shoot somebody over cows? You're not going to do that, brother. You're not going to do it. That's the way to behave. Appeal to the best in people. Because believe me, the government has been preparing for the Bubba moment since George W. Bush. And I know because I talked to the special forces. They've been preparing for a Bubba moment. Well, the Bubba moment is coming. The Bubba moment could have happened last weekend. And believe me, you don't have a plan. But believe me, the United States government has a plan. And you ain't going to like it.